What's up, guys? Pigs for Life here, and today we're back with another episode of Samurai Sanctuary in Planet Zoo. Oh gosh, the lag. Alright, we're good. Okay, so not much has happened since last video. Well, in fact, I've barely been doing anything since last video because I've been getting ready for mid-year exams at my school. But thankfully, we got blessed with a snow day, so as of recording this, I don't have school. It's a Friday, we were supposed to have midterms, and I don't have school because we're getting snow. So yeah, so that's great. So, if you remember from last episode, we got started on the Panda Village. So we got loads of pandas who have started to have babies. So it's a thriving village, and we've got some other animals such as the Indian peafowls and the babirusa. We've got the southern cassowary right over here. Right over here. Ooh, that's actually a pretty good view of them. Ooh, they're expecting offspring in a few months. Wow, that's great. Alright. And then we've also got some deer. We got both the European fallow deer and the red deer. And man, I must say, the view of this little pond looks stunning. So yeah, and now this video, we need to get a lot done. So, my plan for this video is to finish up the little farm area, and for that matter, the zoo, by, adding in several pasture animals. So right over here is going to be like a little goat section for both Dall Sheep and, the Alpine Ibex. So I'm thinking the Alpine Ibex will go more towards the like little mountain slope, and then the Dall Sheep will be like a bit more open and vast. And then let me pause it for a second. On top of that, we're also going to add in Bactrian Camels, Przewalski's horse, American Bison, and caribou. So now what I want to do for this, for all three exhibits, is, so, basically, if I go into first-person mode, let's see, explore mode, my computer's acting a bit slow, because this zoo is so huge, but, the idea is that you can see all three areas from the top of the mountain. And what I would really like to do is, I would really like to make a river going through each of the pastures. And then the idea is that it would extend all the way into, like, this mountain, like, in the valley. Yeah, that's the word, valley. And then, obviously, I need to hide this with lots of rocks, and maybe I can even use some of these, bamboo strips. Oh, no. Alright, we're good. Yeah, so, like, near the mountains, I'll use, like, several, like, rocks to hide, like, the open space. Right over here, we could probably put, like, lots of trees. And then, so here's my rough idea. I think this area will be Przewalski's horse and Bactrian Camels. This area, I think, would be good for caribou. And then this will be for American Bison. We'll start with these three paddocks, for the four different herd animals. I'm doing it again. And so, the reason I put them where they are is so that way I want to, use, like, if I were to get out the foliage, wherever the foliage may be. So if I were to get this little chunk of foliage that I made, we can use this to cover up the path. So that way, if you're looking from the top of the mountain, you won't be able to see the ugly staff path. Yeah, so we've got quite a lot to do, and we've got quite a decent game plan. So, yeah, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so to kick things off, I just want to quickly apologize about the quality of the video. In this case, both this episode and also last Planet Zoo video. The quality was very blurry, so I do apologize for that. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's get into some animal facts. Okay, so I'm going to do the animal facts in chronological order based on which habitat we're doing. So it's going to start with the American Bison, then the caribou, and finishing off with the Przewalski's horse and Bactrian Camels. So, starting with the American Bison. So, the American Bison is the largest mammal in North America, with females reaching 4 to 5 feet tall and weighing up to 1,000 pounds, and males reaching up to 6 feet tall and weighing twice as much. Now, the entire reason they ended up in North America in the first place is via the Bering Land Bridge during the last Ice Age. So, the ancestors of the modern-day American bison originated in Asia, and approximately 400,000 years ago, during the last Ice Age, they crossed into America, where they have thrived for thousands of years more. Well, that is until settlers arrived, where they hunted the bison almost to extinction. However, thanks to conservation efforts in the early 1900s, they have made a substantial comeback. Okay, so moving on now to the caribou. So, a pretty common fact about caribou, but caribou and reindeer are indeed the same species. However, their name is based on where they're from. So, if you're talking about an individual from North America, then you would refer to it as caribou, whereas if you were talking about an individual from Europe or Asia, then it would be classified as a reindeer. And so in a previous video, I talked about the great wildebeest migration in Africa. Well, it's the caribou that makes the longest land migration of any land animal, traveling upwards of 745 miles per year. Now, onto the Przewalski's horse. So, just like with the American bison, Przewalski's horse once had a massive range map, this time spanning all across Eurasia. However, in the decades leading up to the 1960s, they were completely wiped out to extinction in the wild, with only 14 individuals remaining in captivity. But thanks to some extensive breeding programs, the Przewalski's horse has made a staggering comeback with upwards of 2,000 individuals currently in the wild, all of them whom descended from only 14 individual horses. I mean, I know that, like, 200,000 really doesn't seem like a lot, but, like, it's definitely a more sustainable population than 14 captive individuals. Okay, so last but not least, the Bactrian Camel, which will be sharing its exhibit with the Przewalski's horse. So, in the Zoopedia, the Bactrian Camel is classified as domesticated. While it is true that they are common in captivity, there's also a small, purely wild population left in the wilds of Mongolia and China, which is a similar home range to the Przewalski's horse. These wild camels are the only population of wild camels left in the world, hence why the species is both domesticated as well as endangered at the same time. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how domestication works. Like, I know that, like, with, like, wolves have the scientific name of Canis lupus, And dogs, like domestic dogs, have the name Canis lupus familiaris. So, there might be, like, some difference in classification between the wild and domestic Bactrian camels. But, yeah, so, as you can see, I'm taking some of the foliage from the prairie dog enclosure to, put in the American Bison enclosure, and I also have to add in a bridge so that way the keeper can get to the food enrichment on the other side of the river. As you might have pointed out earlier, I did try to add in some trees in the foreground by the mountain, but they were sort of obstructing the view of the mountaintop, so I just decided to get rid of them. And as you can see, duplicating these shelters in all the habitats. I'll probably talk more about the habitats and the sort of like construction around it, like after the time lapse. But yeah, in terms of the time lapse, that is pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed those little animal facts, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the time lapse. And with that being said, I will see you later in the video. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished product of the pastures. So you get, so if you go around the sides, you get a view of both the Przewalski's horse, Bactrian Camel, well, Przewalski's horse slash Bactrian Camel, as well as the Reindeer enclosure. Now I have it on pause so that way it doesn't, like, so the game isn't too laggy. If I try it. It's not that bad. Alright, so with all that aside, the real highlight of these exhibits is going up the hill and getting to take in the amazing view of this all. I mean, you can see, like, so much from here. And then, something I just want to check. When you turn around, okay, you can't see any open space. In a second, I'll show you how I covered up some of the open space with some bamboo strips over by the pandas. And so, one thing I thought about recently was, when you get to the tallest point, will you be able to see beyond the bamboo? The answer, actually, not quite. I mean, it's mostly because of all the trees that obstruct the view past the, what do you call it? The, past the bamboo. Yep. And then, if we go all the way to the top, up the game. Alright, perfect. So, when you go all the way to the top, you get a great view of the American Bison enclosure. So, hang on, let's go all the way to the top. All the way to the tippity top of the mountain. More baby pandas are on the way. But if you look over the edge, you can hopefully see some American Bison. Oh yeah, and I also, I mentioned this in time-lapse, but I tried to put some trees along here, but that ended up obstructing the view. Alright, now, the moment of truth. When I turn to look back, can you see beyond the bamboo? Kind of. You can kind of see it, like, over here and over here. Alright, so, that's something I might need to do. I might need to cover it up with more bamboo. Yeah, I'm gonna need to cover it up with more bamboo. So, alright. Oh yeah, and also, I covered all this up with lots and lots and lots of trees. But this is mostly to cover up the fact that the river doesn't expand throughout the entire valley. So yeah, so all this area is going to have to be, bamboo. But one thing I might do first is I might add in another staff area, so that way, like, the staff over here aren't, like, too boggled down with lots of work. Okay, so, a little bit of a long story, but, I had recorded about an hour, or more than an hour, of footage. Wasn't really much, it was just me doing a bunch of landscaping, as you'll see in a minute. However, all that footage got corrupted, and so I couldn't use it. So, thankfully, I didn't get any animals in, at the moment. However, I did do loads and loads of landscaping, as you can see. So, I extended the mountain a little bit. I added, a bunch of rocks and, like, cherry blossoms. And I also added loads and loads of bamboo. And not to mention, I also extended the tree line. So if we go into explore mode, right over there, we've got foliage as far as the eye can see. The only reason I really had to do this was because this is at such a high up point, you'll, like, be able to see a lot. But, I was originally going to cover the whole thing with bamboo, but then I thought that it didn't really look that good because, well, it didn't. However, one thing I did do is I did plan out the, Dall Sheep exhibit, and as you can see, I lined the path with lots more bamboo, and I got a shelter. And then, so right over here is going to be the Alpine Ibex enclosure. But yeah, so, huge sea of nothing but bamboo. Oh yeah, and I also added in this, extra staff section. So this section, or this staff area is more for, like, this half of the Panda Village, and then this staff area is more for this half. if you can see my mouse, but, like, I'll probably highlight it in the video. But, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I like how the bamboo is very dense and you can't really see it. However, at the same time, like, it probably isn't, like, always like this because, well, like, you know, there are, like, animals, like pandas especially, like, trampling over the bamboo, and, like, so it's probably not gonna be completely dense like this. But you know what? For now, this is good, because the big thing is, the guests aren't going to be, like, seeing the entire thing, the entire, like, sea of bamboo. They're only really going to see it from up here. But when they're right next to it, it's just gonna look like a line of bamboo. So, and then same thing with, these little decorations. It doesn't need to look perfect, because, guests are really only gonna see it from afar. But if we get up close, it looks just like a regular, bamboo grove. And, you know, we can also pretend that, like, people and, like, animals haven't been here in so long that the bamboo's just, like, overgrown. But yeah, so, I mean, it's not my best landscape work, but you know what? It will do for now, because, like I said, it's not really going to be observed up close. It's going to be more observed from a distance. So, yeah, alright, so now we're gonna actually get into the time-lapse, where, fingers crossed, nothing goes wrong, but we're gonna, do the Dall Sheep, and we're going to do the Alpine Ibex. So yeah, let's officially, this time, get started. Alright, so, starting off small, by adding in some picnic tables for guests to sit down with their food and drink, and watch the animals. So, also, I have to say, when I first, heard this song, Call the Herd by, Johannes Bornloff, like, as soon as I heard it, like, as soon as I first heard it, it instantly screamed, like, sheep herder, goat herder, like, up in the mountains. So, yeah, I knew I had to include this in, like, with the Dall Sheep and the Alpine Ibex. This isn't the only time you'll hear this song. I'll probably put it on in the background of the, final tour, and, this song I'll probably also use in a future playthrough. Won't be our next Planet Zoo playthrough. Oh, and I dropped my phone with my animal facts. So, as I was saying, I'm probably not going to use this song in the very next Planet Zoo playthrough that we do, but definitely the one after that, I'll have to use this song, because, it has, like, a very, like, adventurous vibe, which is sort of the vibe we're going for in the Panda Village, like, very adventurous and, like, frantic and busy, and also, like, happy, cheery, so, yeah, so that Planet Zoo playthrough that we do in the future will also have a very adventurous and, like, not sort of medieval, but, like, definitely, like, adventurous and, like, ponderous, like, mood, and so, great, now on to the animal facts. So, starting with the Dall Sheep. So, the Dall Sheep gets its name from the American naturalist William Healy Dall, who is well known for exploring the interior of Alaska. This species is also sometimes called the thin-horned sheep, since its horns are relatively thinner than many other close relatives, such as the more popular bighorn sheep. However, while their horns are structured differently compared to other relatives, like I said, such as the bighorn sheep, they have the same purpose, which is for the males who possess these big curved horns to fight for mates. And so, while both males and females possess horns, the males are more curved and suitable for fighting, whereas the females are straighter and pointed upwards and backwards. So, as you can see, so originally I was going to have that huge habitat be for the Ibex, but I decided to change it to the Dall Sheep because the social requirements are much higher. So like the Dall Sheep can have up to 40 individuals in a single exhibit, whereas the Alpine Ibex can only have up to 30. So because of that, I decided to give the more social animals the larger habitat space. And then another factor that played into switching around the animals is the fact that the Dall Sheep cannot use the sort of like rocky cliff enrichment, whereas the Alpine Ibex can. So the Dall Sheep will be closer to the mountain, and we'll have the like sort of like highland, like the like sort of like rockier terrain, whereas the Alpine Ibex will still have that rocky terrain, but in the form of that like boulder enrichment or whatever it's called. So speaking of the Alpine Ibex, time for some facts. So, for starters, during the Middle Ages, the horns of the Alpine Ibex were used as traditional medicine amongst Europeans, which didn't even serve a medical purpose. This, as well as a lack of genetic diversity, is what nearly drove the animal to extinction. However, thanks to hunting bans in the 1800s, the overall population has increased, and currently there are over 55,000 Alpine Ibex left just in the Alps. So, another cool fact about the Alpine Ibex is their ability to live in extreme terrain, being able to scale nearly vertical walls and cliffs. The fact that they can jump up to 2 meters high also helps them in this case. So yeah, that's pretty much it for animal facts. Had to do a lot of rock work to keep the Dall Sheep from climbing out of their exhibit. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Hope you enjoyed those animal facts, and I'll see you at the end of the time lapse. Alright guys, so here is the finished product. So as you can see over here, we have got the Alpine Ibex enclosure. I mentioned this in the time-lapse, but this was originally supposed to be the Dall Sheep enclosure. But I decided to swap the two because of this enrichment, which is called the Goat Climbing Mountain. That's a way better name than what I said earlier, the Boulder enrichment. I wonder if are any of them using it at the moment. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, so now moving on. So you're gonna go, you could go around the Ibex enclosure. Ooh, and here's the ram with those huge horns. Right over here. Seems to be doing something. Not entirely sure what. But anyways. So then, I added in lots and lots of bamboo. And then right here is the Dall Sheep enclosure. So lots of bamboo, like in between the path and like right up against it over here. And of course, as you saw in the time lapse, I did decide to add this path right up against the fence. So I did shrink the enclosure just a tiny bit. So yeah, and then so you could get a view from here, and then if you keep walking, then right over here, you go up the mountain, you can see even more Dall Sheep. And man, the rock work, I must say, looks spot on. Like, it is incredible. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, we're finished with Samurai Sanctuary. Now, all we have to do is the full tour, which is the episode that will come out after this one. So, yeah, and then from there, we will move on to our next Planet Zoo playthrough. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If so, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see some more Minecraft, Planet Zoo, and Jurassic World Evolution 2 content. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.